Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 101 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And I am your host, Brian. And Tim, I don't know about you, but to me it feels like it took as long to get to 100 to 101 as it did to get from 1 to 100.
It's so weird the way the scheduling worked out, because it's not like me and Brian have been away like for a huge number of days. It's just that we've been away on the days we typically record, and it just ended up being all screwed up, and that's why we had this weird period before our summer staycation where our episodes are not regular like they used to be, but we're getting back on track. We're slowly getting there.
Yes, I mean, it was a combination of Tim's trip, my trip, my anniversary. So it's like we were trying to just work around a lot of stuff, and you know, we actually I'm gone next week, but we have a contingency plan for that. So you're not going to miss an episode again. We're going to have consistent episodes from here on out, all the way through the summer staycation, barring any kind of natural disasters or technical difficulties, like my computer blowing up or Tim getting another hurricane.
Yeah, hopefully no hurricanes this early in the year. My gosh.
Yeah, no, that would be a little bit that'd be a little shocking.
So yeah, guys, we are back with a full episode. We have a very special guest coming on to discuss our feature movie this week, which I'm very excited to talk about because I really love this movie. My brother is a huge fan of this film. We should have got him on, Brian.
Oh my God, you're right. We should have had him on too.
Yeah, I just didn't think about it, but he was very excited when he found out we were covering Phantom of the Paradise from 1974, one of my birth year movies. So that's really good.
There you go.
So let's get right into it. This is our first chop. All right, so Brian, I have put my 40 Years of Terror project on hold because of the weird scheduling, and I know you did the same with your Twilight Zone project. So weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through these fast today, so because we don't have any updates.
Yeah, so we will be back with our project updates next week, but for now, those are on hold. I will give you a sneak peek at the one that I chose for this week. Shares the name with a very popular horror podcast. And no, it is not Civil Gore the movie.
No.
But you are going to like it.
Which we almost covered that.
We did, yeah. But you're going to like it because it has water zombies.
Oh. Water zombies are always a plus.
Yeah. But there is a film I really do want to talk about. I know you watched it as well, Brian. And that is one that's getting a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah, and I couldn't talk about it because you hadn't seen it yet, and it was still new. But I think we could probably go into a little bit of spoilers today. So if you haven't seen what we're going to talk about, which is The Perfection, if you have not seen this yet, you might want to fast forward a little bit because we'll probably go into a couple of spoilers just because Tim and I is the first chance we really got to discuss it.
Yeah, now this is every now and again a movie comes along on Netflix and everybody goes, it's the scariest movie I've ever seen. I passed out watching it. And then you got all this hype about people. With this one in particular, people are talking about they threw up or they vomited or they fainted. And I'm like, come on, guys. It's not that crazy.
Yeah,
but
not that
it's
bad
a neat movie. I really liked it. Stars Allison Williams from, of course, Get Out, who's making a name for herself as creepy white girl in the horror movies.
Seriously, yeah, she's getting typecast, and at least there was no serial tie-in in this one, as far as I saw.
And this is a very, when I say artsy movie, I mean it in, not that it's a slow burn, because it's not at all. It's very not a slow burn, but it's very artsy in that it takes place in the classical music world, and it's filmed in this kind of art film type style. But when it gets going, it gets super crazy really, really fast.
Oh, does it ever? I mean, and it's one of those ones where you're not sure where it's going to go. I mean, you kind of have an idea, but it's one of those ones where you have the idea where it's going to go after a little bit, after being confused for a bit, and then it totally flips it on you, and then flips it again.
Yeah.
And it's one of these ones where you can't just watch this kind of like haphazardly. For lack of a better word, you kind of have to invest yourself in this and pay attention because there's a lot of stuff going on that they like to play with your head on a little bit. I mean, I think you kind of can get the pattern towards the end a little bit. Like I kind of saw where it was gonna. I kind of had a feeling at what was gonna happen at the end just by watching it up until that point. Of course, it's like you start to see you see a little clues. But yeah, I mean, but as far as the the gross out factor goes, like I mean, obviously being seasoned horror film watchers, you're not going to be that grossed out. I mean, you'll be like, that's good, but no more.
No,
than
we've seen far
before.
worse. I mean, I saw Human Centipede for Christ's sake. So
right, yeah, you see that. You've pretty much seen almost seen it all. But what I think the reason why that is because Netflix obviously is such a popular platform that people are, and that's what I like when a big horror movie gets some cred on Netflix. Because it kind of gives it this more exposure to like the mass audiences, not just horror fans. And it got so much talk, and if you looked at and actually there was a lot of criticism based off the trailer, which did not make it look like the movie you ended up getting. So I think that drew a lot of people in, thinking I mean I don't know what they thought per se, but they probably just thought it was some kind of weird suspense thriller and not this extra gore fest
really crazy
kind of horror movie. Yeah, so I think it drew a lot of people in. But and so that's kind of it's like almost like a new interesting piece to horror movies now that Netflix kind of like can sneak these horror movies into the mainstream. And but yeah, I mean I actually really enjoyed it. It kind of like I kind of went in not really realizing what it was about, which was to me great because I don't mind if it's a horror. In fact, I was excited it was more horror than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I still will say I think I mentioned this last episode. I still think the most horrific thing for me was when she was on that bus and had to go to the bathroom and couldn't find one. Because to me, that's always my biggest fear. Because I do a lot of road trips. Julie and I go a lot of places, and I'm always like making sure, like I get a little nervous when we're on a road where there's like this long stretch of road where nothing is there. I'm like, well, what if I have to go to the bathroom?
So we found Brian's biggest fear.
Yeah. Tim's got the jump scare. I have the lack of bathroom scare.
Yeah, but guys, definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it on Netflix yet. It's really, really good. It's one of the better Netflix offerings I've seen this year, I believe. I'd rank it way on up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed it much better than Bird Box.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair to compare it to that, but I'm just talking about like horror movies that got a lot of publicity on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's in that genre.
Yeah, exactly.
We just invented a genre. It's like horror movies that get a lot of publicity on Netflix. But yeah, so I would definitely give it a watch if you have not watched it yet because it really was good. Because the performances are outstanding. I mean, like Tim was joking to me. He goes, he can't get used to the guy that was from Wings. What did you say again? The Wings guy was creepy.
Yeah, like
what was your exact?
Oh,
quote?
I can't remember the exact quote, but it's the guy from Wings, and that's all I could think of. I was like, I can't get over the guy from Wings being so evil.
Yeah, evil and naked. So yeah, so beware. But
and it's not good Donald Sutherland naked; it's ugly naked.
No, it's not. I mean, and that's a very small little genre to it on it.
What, good
itself.
Donald Sutherland?
Good Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, it was a very limited time window in which that occurred. So
yeah, they took full advantage.
Where he still had the baby
very
smooth buttocks. He doesn't have that anymore. I'm assuming. I haven't seen him, but I'm just assuming from his age. So
any Donald Sutherland, Sutherland. What I made him like a section in Disney World. No. Can you imagine the rides at Donald Sutherland? But Donald Sutherland. He would. If anyone knows him out there, why don't you go check up on his
posterior
smooth buttocks.
Yeah, I just know from experience that buttocks don't typically age in a smooth fashion.
No, yeah, probably not. Yeah, and they probably been through a lot. I mean, he was in backdraft. He had been backdraft. Where I don't know. It's like he was in the Hunger Games. We don't know what's going on. Boy, did we come back with a vengeance! I tell you.
Oh, well. Moving right along to Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
The 3 from Hell teaser trailer dropped, which was really, really cool. I'm really excited for this one, man.
Yeah, and it was an interesting teaser. It didn't really give anything away. It just showed the characters you want to see, really. That was it.
Yeah, and, as I've stated many times before, I'm a Rob Zombie apologist, but my favorite films of his are definitely House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Like, by far and away, those are my 2 favorite Rob Zombie movies. So This is the one I'm super, super excited for.
Yes, I agree. I am waiting for this one, and I'm kind of glad he didn't give much on the trailer. A lot of people. It's so funny, you get these trailers that released, and people criticize the trailers now because of social media. It's not, it used to be able to just talk amongst your friends about that because you'd see it in the theater. Now with social media and online presence of trailers, they put a teaser for the teaser trailer, out there. So it's people build this up as much as they do the movies, and it's but they get upset when they don't show a lot, but then they get upset if they show too much. So it's what do you guys want, really? It's
I'm always torn in the theater because I love watching the trailers. I love being at the movie on time, even early, just so I know that I catch every single trailer. But at the same time, it aggravates me when they show too much in the trailer. So I'm always torn between wanting to see the trailer and not wanting to see anything about it because they're so bad these days about just putting pivotal scenes in the trailer that you really shouldn't be spoiled on. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just want to know. I mean, going back to a little off topic, but in terms of trailers, though, that's what I thought J.J. Abrams did an amazing job with the Rise of Skywalker trailer because it obviously dropped a big bomb on you right at the end of it. But so what? And he's the biggest secret keeper. What on earth must he be hiding?
Right.
If he revealed that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and that to me was almost trailer perfection. It gave you just enough fan service, enough tease, a little bit of excitement, some, everything you kind of wanted out of a Star Wars teaser. So it's and so, but Three from Hell, obviously you don't have that. It's not that type of film. So you have to be creative with it, and they did a great job with a couple little shots of some of the characters, and you really don't know what the story per se is about other than the brief synopsis that they mentioned. And so it's I kind of like that we still don't know much other than we know that it's coming.
Yeah, we do know the actual full trailer's coming in July, so we don't have that long to wait.
Yes. Right, which is nice. You kind of put them back to back almost.
Next up, a Blair Witch game has been announced for August 30th. This is a first-person mystery game. In my mind, I'm why hasn't this been done before? Maybe it has. I don't know. Maybe there was some unknown Blair Witch game back in the day.
There was some kind of computer game. It wasn't a real game, I think. Remember, it was that weird kind of tie-in game that really didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As much.
Yeah.
It was that really thing. But no, have you seen the trailer for this? Cohn sent me this trailer.
No, I haven't watched the trailer yet.
Oh, you got to see the trailer. It's I won't tell you about it. So apologize for the listeners who want me to describe it. I'm not going to since Tim hasn't seen it. Just go watch the teaser trailer to it. It looks like everything you'd want in a Blair Witch game, and it's done I will say it's done. The game seems to be done in that style of found footage.
That sounds cool.
So yeah, basically I think you're armed with a camera. And the best part, Tim, Game Pass it's coming out for, so we don't even need to buy
Right,
it.
and this is an Xbox exclusive, or is it going to be multi-platform?
No, it's multi-platform. I believe Xbox. It's out on Xbox first, and I think in the fall it hits Steam.
But if you have Game Pass, you're going to be able to play it for free first. So.
Yeah, which Tim and I will. We might have to. You know what? That gives us some time to maybe get up our Twitch thing going there, like we promised for Friday the 13th. Maybe we'll do it for this.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
I don't think you could do multiplayer, but we could probably, possibly take turns and stream stuff. We'll figure it out.
That would
we'll
be
look
cool.
into details.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, because let's hope this is just another opening to more horror games, because we know we want that Halloween game has got to come out.
Yeah.
And who knows what else will come, but this game looks legit creepy, and it seems like it captures the world of Blair Witch just from the little snippet I saw. So Tim, you need to watch this once we get off. Once we're done recording, go take a look at that.
And we need to stream it where you can see me jump at every jump scare in the game.
Yes, we'll put a camera on Tim and we'll split screen it. And that'll be great.
I'm gonna have to go buy one of those
will
green backdrop things so I can green screen myself into the bottom right hand corner of the game while I'm playing it.
Yeah. Well, I have one. If you need one, I can send it to you. You can borrow
it. So next up, NECA Toys has a new Ultimate Sam from Trick or Treat, also known to Kim and Ket as Baby Burp Smap.
Yes, which I can't stop saying.
I know now that's his official name. But he's going to have multiple heads, as many NECA figures do, accessories, and a light up pumpkin, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, the Michael Myers came with that too. They're probably different pumpkin, or unless they got really cheap and they just rehashed the same pumpkin. But yeah, and NECA's been, obviously NECA just kills it with everything they do. And the Laurie Strode figures, I think, due out next month.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I got to pick that one up. But I just grabbed the and I surprised. I didn't realize it was coming out. I forgot it was coming out. But the Jason from the 2009 remake figure came out, so I grabbed that at Target. And I believe in September or August, the Freddy vs. Jason is coming out. So yeah, so my Jason collection is growing. Although everything is off the shelf now because I need to install a third shelf, so I pulled everything down because Julie always goes up there. She's the fixer, my wife, actually, and she's the one with all the good maintenance skills in the family. And she's, as Tim fondly refers to her, as the fixer. She's a fixer in a lot of things, and that's one of them. And because she has the patience to use that leveler with the measuring thing and the laser thing going off to measure the shelves to perfection, where I would put it up and they'd be on a big slant and they'd be like sliding down.
Well, I put up shelves. I've put up all the shelves in my house, but I'm not very meticulous about it. I mean, they come out looking okay, but I would not want them under an inspection or of any sort.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. See, Julie will sit there and will spend a good hour measuring it and making sure that it is exactly.
Oh no, I'm not that way.
Perfect. Well, you saw my big Blu-ray shelves, right? That big system I have there. She spent like a day on that measuring it, and then she realized that I guess she was off on some of the measurements, so she had to remeasure. I swear to God, I thought like tears were gonna come out of her eyes because she spent so long on it, and then realized she was like something like a half inch off on every one.
Yeah.
So, but she managed to remedy. Yeah, she remedied it pretty quickly because I think she had that thing. And she spent all day doing that. So
see, what I want to do with this figure, though, is I want to take that idea that guy had at New Jersey Horror Con and make a shadow box that lights up. Like, it wouldn't be that expensive to do. And put the figure, take him out of the box, of course, and put the figure in like a scene. Because my mom does, or she used to do a lot of like dollhouse diorama type things.
Oh, nice.
And so I've seen it done before. I've seen like you could make like a house facade that you could put Sam on, like sitting on the porch or something. And they have dollhouse accessories that you can get the miniature things for. I think that'd be a super cool project to try to pull off. And then the lighting is super cheap. You can get LED lights all day long these days that you can wire up and just do a battery powered LED light to light up. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, and I was thinking of getting, when I get the Laurie Strode figure, to possibly do like a Michael versus Laurie sequence, like with the, with maybe put some like trees behind it and stuff, and make it look like it's in.
That would be super cool. Yeah, if we do that, we'll have to post some progress and stuff on it. Like if we decide to do that. Speaking of that, our first Loot Crate, Fear Crate box should be coming in the next week or so. So when that comes in, we'll do a kind of a live unboxing. I'm not going to open it until we're actually recording, and we'll kind of do a live unboxing,
sweet.
Maybe a video unboxing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because maybe we could do both. We can do you can record it on video, but we'll just play the snippet of audio through the podcast, but then also post the video.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
On YouTube and Instagram and stuff.
Next up, Love, Death, and Robots has been renewed for season 2 on Netflix, which is really exciting because I loved this series. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a collection of like 15 maybe. It's a lot.
It was like more. It might have been like 18 for the first episode.
They're very short films, varying length, but they're all have some kind of sci-fi feel to them. And I mentioned on here because some of them you could classify horror. I think legitimately.
I think there's a couple that are true horror.
Just amazing animation. These are just, like CGI, other types of animation styles. If you guys have not seen Love, Death, and Robots, definitely check that one out. It's really, really great short films. And the animation is mind-blowing. Some of the best animation I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's quality of like the CG characters that they put in films. It's like that level of animation, sometimes just fully immersive though. And there is a couple of other types. There's like some that kind of like what's the one with the sentient yogurt? Like that one was more like
like
comical
like
animation,
2D traditional.
Yeah, there's some 2D stuff in there, and I think there might be an anime one in there, like a true anime style. But yeah, it's just really, really good. Definitely not for the kids though, because it's animated. This is adult animation, and I can't stress that any stronger.
Yes.
Because you see, I mean, if there was an animated Donald Sutherland, we'd be seeing his smooth buttocks.
That's right.
And other things. But yeah.
And then I got two more here on the list. Miramax is for sale, and Universal is trying to buy their library of films. That includes the Halloween and Scream franchises. So that's interesting.
Well, that'd be interesting, especially for Universal, because they already seem to have some kind of rights to it for the Halloween Horror Nights. They managed to, I guess, borrow or pay for the rights for it. So that would be good. But then, I mean, if they own Scream, that could be a good house for future.
We got some future news about Scream coming up soon too.
Yeah.
And then finally, Stranger Things 3 game, location-based RPG puzzler. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that's coming next year.
Yeah, so I looked at some of the things. It's basically kind of one of those things where it uses, I don't know if it's necessarily augmented reality, but it uses Google Maps, and you can explore that section of where you are in the upside down.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like, I guess it's like a real place. Like say you go down to the street to your store. Well, if that happens to be a spot that triggers in the game, you'll see what the upside down looks like, I guess, in that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Store, so let's buy. Yeah, so I mean, that's really, they didn't give too many details about it, but and I just saw that today for the first time. And apparently it's based on Stranger Things season 3, which obviously is really close now. We're like 3 weeks away?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll almost have to that'll stink because that's right in the middle of our summer vacation, so we can't even really dedicate a true episode to it or something. We might have to put that as like a recap right when we get back from the summer vacation episodes.
Yeah,
maybe do a Stranger Things 3 like recap show, kind of cleanse the palate before we go back into other movies.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for our first shop, guys. So let's get right into our next segment. These are the Blu-ray releases for. What is this for? Let's see. This is for the week of. I got to calculate it in my mind. This is what happens when you don't record on the right night.
Yeah, I want to say the 15th. No,
it's the 18th.
Yeah,
the 18th. These are the Blu-ray releases for June 18th, 2019. Our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off my...
Okay, kind of a short week this week, but we have some big titles this week. I can't stress this is an awesome week. The first one up, obviously, is one that I'm super looking forward to. I still have not seen this movie, Brian.
I know this was a stunner. If there was a movie where you had to pick a movie, big movie horror that Tim wouldn't see, this would not be the one I would pick. I would assume he would have seen that week.
I just could not get to the theater to see this one for various reasons. But this is, of course, Jordan Peele's Us. Released this year, of course. Universal Studios, directed by Jordan Peele, starring Lupita Nyong'o, which I always screw up her name, Winston Duke, and Elizabeth Moss. A family's serene beach vacation turns to chaos when their doppelgangers appear and begin to terrorize them. Somehow I have avoided spoilers for this movie. Don't ask me how. So as soon as this thing is available, I think it's now available digital to own, but I don't think it's available to rent yet.
Right, you can digitally own it, but you cannot. As far as I know, you can't rent it.
But as soon as that hits the rental,
you have one more
week, I'll be able to watch this thing. So, because I'm definitely going to get the Blu-ray. Next up is no special features I actually listed on this one. I'm sure there's going to probably be something, probably a trailer or something.
And I guarantee there'll be a big behind the scenes. And if not on this release, there will be a special, because there is a ton to unpack in this movie. And I can't imagine Jordan Peele not wanting to go through a ton of the backstory. And he, if anything, just Easter eggs and stuff.
And he did a great commentary for Get Out. So I would be very surprised if he didn't do a commentary for this movie. It's also coming out in the 4K releases. So it's going to have a full-blown 4K release, the whole 9 yards. So definitely check that one out. Next up, not quite as well known, the Monolith Monsters from 1957. This is one of those strange Shout Factory releases where they're releasing kind of these old classics. John Sherwood is the director, starring Grant Williams, Lola Albright, and Les Tremaine. rocks from a meteor which grow when in contact with water, Creepshow, threaten a sleepy southwestern desert community. This has actually 2 audio commentaries. A new audio commentary by film historians Tom Weaver and David Schechter, and then a new audio commentary by Professor of Film Studies and author Mark Jankovic. He did a book called Rational Fears, American Horror in the 1950s. And this one also has a theatrical trailer and still gallery. So, again, that's what I said. I would love to collect these little weird one-off Shout Factory discs, but just haven't gotten around to buying one yet.
Let me ask you a question now. Do you think a Professor of Film Studies trumps a film historian? Because a film historian is like, I mean, it's a title, but you know, you don't go to school to become a film. Oh, I mean, you can, I guess, but you don't get a degree in being a film historian. But a professor of film studies, that's a degree.
Yeah.
So which is better? I
still have to.
Have we been following the wrong group?
Yeah, I still throw my hat in the ring with the film historians because I think
I'll go. With
I think
you
they focus more on the. Not that a film study professor couldn't focus on the past, but I like the historian aspect. It feels like they spend a lot of time digging around in old libraries and researching things. The professor, he just has to show up for class.
True, and I think there's probably an element of a possible monocle worn by the film historians and a bow tie.
Definitely a monocle. Well, the professor could have a bow tie, yeah.
He might, but it's probably not as plaid as the other bow tie.
And he definitely doesn't have a monocle.
Film historian. No, there's no monocle involved. Yeah.
Okay. Next up is my pick of the week. This is a no-brainer. I'm very excited about this one. I'm actually probably going to go ahead and pre-order it, even though it's a little pricey. But it's not pricey when you look at the number of discs and the content on them, but it's pricey in terms I don't want to drop that much money on a box set, but we'll see. $50 is what I'm talking about, so it's not terrible. This is the Universal Horror Collection Volume 1. So what they're doing is, this is covering the years 1934 to 1940. Universal is putting out some of their non-classic Universal monster movies in box set form. And this is great because some of these films are fantastic. Just because they don't star The Mummy or Dracula or Frankenstein doesn't mean Universal didn't make some other great horror movies and suspense-type thrillers. So the first one up is you get The Black Cat from 1934. This one's going to have 2 new audio commentaries, one by author and film historian Gregory William Mank, and one by author and film historian Steve Haberman. A new featurette called Dreams Within a Dream, the classic cinema of Edgar Allan Poe. A new feature called Good Game, Karloff and Lugosi at Universal Part 1, The Black Cat, and vintage footage from the Black Cat contest, along with a still gallery. So that's a great disc. That's a great movie. I think we had to watch that one in school one time when we were covering Edgar Allan Poe. Speaking of which, that
seems because that's a classic in terms of that would be a movie that they there were certain movies that they would show in school that were I guess good enough to just not be considered just you're just watching a movie.
Well, and they used to also pick these because they knew they could show a 1934 movie in class and not get reprimanded for it because it's not going to show anything bad or have any cuss words in it or anything. The next one up, another Poe classic, The Raven from 1935. This one has a 2K remaster, an audio commentary with author film historian Gary D. Rhodes, an audio commentary with author film historian Steve Haberman, a featurette, Good Game, Karloff and Lugosi. Louis Gossi Jr.
Boy, you've been rusty.
Karloff and Lugosi at Universal Part 2, The Raven. And an audio recording of Bela Lugosi reading The Telltale Heart. That should be interesting.
That, to me, actually is one of the coolest features on this whole box set.
Yeah,
that'd be really neat.
Sound really cool. Also has a still gallery, for what it's worth. Next up, The Invisible Ray from 1936. New 2K remaster. A new audio commentary with authors and film historians Tom Weaver and Randall Larson. Part 3 of that Karloff and Lugosi featurette Good Game, The Invisible Ray, and a re-release theatrical trailer and still gallery. And then finally, Black Friday from 1940. No, this is not about Christmas shopping.
I was thinking, I didn't even know they had those sales back then.
This one has a new 2K remaster, a new audio commentary with filmmaker and film historian Konstantin Nasser. Part 4 of that featurette that I've mentioned 3 times already. And Inner Sanctum Mystery Radio Show, The Telltale Heart, starring Boris Karloff. So we...
Again, that's a radio show. I love old radio shows. That has got to be... What a great
So you
disc.
get Lugosi and Karloff telling The Telltale Heart. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then a theatrical trailer and still gallery. So this sounds like a fantastic set. If you go out on Amazon and look at the case, it just looks like a neat case. Like they put some thought into this one. And there is a volume 2 coming out as well fairly soon. So you guys will probably want to go ahead and grab this one. I think I'm going to go ahead and... This might be a Father's Day present. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Oh, there you go. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to have almost like $15 of Amazon points when this rolls around. So this might be a great way to do that because I can order this and it'll knock $15 off the price right off the bat.
Yeah, and $50 is not bad because if you're getting 4 movies and you're getting 6 audio commentaries.
Yeah, 4 movies at $50. That's less than $15.
Yeah, and you're getting. I mean, that's a lot of content. Those commentaries are fantastic. We say that all the time. The film historian commentaries are absolutely worth the price of the disc.
Yeah, no, this is actually. I would go to say is they should be charging like $75 for this, but
so
I'm glad they're.
Well,
not.
they might be after it comes out, so that's why I'm tempted to go ahead and pre-order because.
Oh, true.
I want to grab this before they bump the price up.
Could jump up. Yeah.
And Brian, I didn't have a guess for you this week. Guess the movie this week, just because it was so short and these were mostly so well known. But the last one on our list is The Nightmare Gallery from 2018, released by Gravitas Ventures, directed by Gene Blaylock, starring Amber Benson, Kevin Chamberlain, and Matt Devine. An anthropology professor's obsession with a paranormal mystery threatens her job, marriage, and sanity as she fights to find a missing student. So this one has an audio commentary with producer Paul White and Stephen Biro, an interview with Alan Blumenfield, interview with stuntman Chuck Borden, interview with FX artist Chris Biggs, and production and dialogue notes. So The Nightmare Gallery 2018. Don't know much about that one, but a recent release from Gravitas Ventures. So that wraps up this week. Not a big release week, but I would say Us and that Universal Horror Collection are definitely must-haves.
Yeah. I mean, that's like 2. If there's ever one of those multiple picks of the weeks, this is one of them for sure.
Okay, so now we come to our main feature, Phantom of the Paradise, 1974. This is a rock opera directed by Brian De Palma with music by the great Paul Williams. And I had never seen this movie. My brother Kevin is a big fan of this film. He had been begging me to watch this one. I finally got around to it because it was on Shudder. I couldn't get it any other way. And when I saw that it was on Shudder, I knew that we had to watch this one. And our special guest this evening, Mr. Steve Cohn, actually suggested this one, and I'm glad he did because I really, really love this movie now.
Yeah, Cohn was like, he goes, it's on Shudder now. You guys got to do that. And I said, be careful what you wish for, Steve.
That's right.
So that's why we're punishing him. No, actually, we're rewarding him, really. Yeah, he's coming on because since it was his pick, we figured he'd have some good insight. And I know he's a big Paul Williams fan from his Muppet days. So
right. So let's go through the actors and actress list real quick, and then I want Steve to tell us like how he came about this film. So this, of course, stars Paul Williams as Swan, William Finley as Winslow / the Phantom, Jessica Harper as Phoenix, and Garrett Graham as the Great Beef, who is one of our Brian and I's favorite characters. A disfigured composer sells his soul for the woman he loves so that she will perform his music. However, an evil record tycoon betrays him and steals his music to open his rock palace, the Paradise. So, Cohn, tell us how you came about the interest in Phantom of the Paradise.
Sure. Good evening, guys. I'm a big lover of musicals in general, and this was just one that had been out of print for years, and I'd been trying to track it down, and finally about 6 years ago, the FXX channel aired it, and I just fell in love with it. And then, of course, they didn't air it again, and it's hard to come by, so I finally just did a rewatch, much like you did on Shudder, and I even subjected my 10-year-old daughter to it as well.
Well, it's other than a couple of scenes, it's not so bad because I want to say, maybe Steve, you'll remember this. well, I guess you didn't see it until then, but I could have sworn they used to play this on either HBO or the movie channel back in the day, like when I first got cable. I want to say but I can't, because I know I had seen it before years ago. But so as I was younger, so I can't imagine what other channel I might have seen this on.
It's possible. Maybe TMC. Yeah, again, although back in those days, anything R-rated would have only been at night, so it would have been hard to see.
Yeah, but I had cable when I was a kid. My mom was one of those moms. Yeah, she gave me cable in my room, so I used to be watching. I would be watching Friday the 13th and Happy Birthday to Me was always on. I remember I would always watch those. So it probably was exposed to it back then and I hadn't seen it in years. And until you suggested it, I'm like, oh yes, we got to do that. I think people were suggesting it for the last drive-in too. So I think we beat them to it because like that, I know that's got to be on season 2.
Yeah, it's an interesting film because it's not horror in the traditional horror movie sense in terms of like scary, but it's got so many references that horror fans will pick up on because it's based on Phantom of the Opera and Faust and Picture of Dorian Gray, and it's even got like homages to Psycho, and it's got so many references that horror fans are like going to pick up on. So I think it's great in that respect as well.
Yeah, I have I don't know if we got to this in the trivia about the music, the score in general, but I don't know, maybe this is just me wishful thinking, but at the end, I don't know if you noticed the music that was playing. It almost sounded like this must have been what they based the Gremlin theme off of a little bit at the end, where it was like
the Jerry Goldsmith score.
Yeah, like if you listen to the ending of this movie when they're doing the credits, there's the score playing, and it's very similar to Gremlins. I'm wondering if that Gremlins score was an homage to this.
Now that you mention it, I do hear it. I do picture it.
Yeah, so it's like
I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, I'll go to go to the end credits and listen to the and I'm like, and it was funny as I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is that score? Wait a minute, and then it triggered it. I mean, it's not identical by any means, but it's similar to what was the movie we saw where it was very similar to the Psycho score. We just saw it. We just reviewed it.
Oh yeah. Like very similar.
Yeah, and it was intentional. They said it was
Was it Reanimator or was it something different?
Yes, you're right. It was Reanimator. Yeah, and it was a very intentional homage to it. So maybe you never know. I mean, this had a lot of cult following to it. So I mean, it probably had a lot of effects on other people's products. So it wouldn't shock me if we found somewhere in an article that I based it off the score to Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah, we got to talk about Paul Williams because for you younger listeners may not remember Paul Williams, but was huge in the 70s. A brilliant songwriter. Some of the hits you would recognize were Rainbow Connection, of course, from the Muppet movie.
Yes.
Carpenters. I love the Carpenters. Rainy Days and Mondays. We've Only Just Begun. He did the Love Boat theme. He did Barbra Streisand Evergreen from A Star Is Born, which I subjected my wife to tonight.
I believe he was on Love Boat too, wasn't he?
Paul Williams? He was. Wasn't he on the Brady Bunch as well? I believe.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff.
You might be mixing him up with Cousin Oliver. They do look the same.
That is true.
Exactly
I think they might have. That's a missed opportunity right there. Like a grown-up Oliver story starring Paul Williams. I mean, yeah, he gotta.
But yeah, he was just a very prolific songwriter in the 70s, and he's probably known for kind of some more schmaltzy type stuff, but that was what the 70s was at the time, and I happen to actually love that stuff. Like I still listen to like easy rock and that kind of stuff. Like that's my thing these days. That's what I listen to. So I love the music in this movie.
Yeah, I mean that's what my parents listened to, so that's what I was exposed to, at that time. So yeah, it's like very nostalgic for me. I like it. Yeah.
But don't forget Emmett. The Muppet stuff like Emmett Otter, and then Muppet Christmas Carol and things like that.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's all Paul. Yeah, and it's so funny because you don't realize because he's so like goofy looking, but he's got such a talent. It's incredible. I mean, it's like all those. If you think back to all those songs, probably so many things you don't even realize he did.
Right. Yeah, he is one of those people that you don't realize you've heard him, but you've heard him.
Yeah.
If you don't recognize his name, you've definitely heard his music. So let's talk a little bit about the movie. Like I said, this has got elements of Faust, of Picture of Dorian Gray, and basically it's a satirical take on the music industry. So you've got Contracts with the Devil, which is a very non-subtle nod to record contracts. You've got,
The cantata was called Faust. I mean, there's no subtlety in this movie.
There's no subtlety at all. There was you've got the obsession with youth for the record industry with the Picture of Dorian Gray type plot line, and then of course the major influence, of course, is Phantom of the Opera, which it's partially shares a name with. There's no denying that. So the movie starts off with a band called the Juicy Fruits, which I love.
What a great opening number.
Great opening number. It's probably one of the best
50s.
songs on the album. Yeah. And it's a song about, they're performing kind of a doo-wop style, greaser type song about this musician named Eddie who commits suicide in order to become famous to pay for his sister's operation.
Yeah.
The record
a
sales.
lot of detail in that song.
It's a fantastic song. I was listening to it while I was running today, and you watch it in the movie and you're kind of watching it for the movie, and I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics. And then when I started listening to the lyrics today when I was running, I was like, how brilliant this is. And that's true of all the lyrics in this movie. Like everything, Paul Williams was a great songwriter, like we said, so his lyrics were really, really good.
I have to ask the two of you, just bringing up this opening number, did you notice, like, despite them performing for an audience, they kept breaking into fights and then, grabbing girls, and, like, were they performing? Were they not paying attention? What was going on?
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, wait a minute, did he just, like, punch that guy? He just, like, and then he just, like, mounted the one girl and then like laughed and threw her aside. I'm like, are they plants in the audience? Or because I mean later on there's that scene where they like pretend to cut that person in pieces. Like I'm like, where is it's like, is this like just really interactive theater? Because I mean I'm like thinking back to like, was my life in danger when I went to that Sweeney Todd where the guy where it was like in the play? I mean what's going on? Yeah, you're right. It was very unique and it was a very weird sequence because when that guy Philbin is talking to Swan, who you don't see, it looks like he's talking to the audience, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's a very, very jarring opening.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was super cool, where Philbin is talking to you as if you are the record producer guy. Right. It was kind of an interesting take on it. I thought it was kind of neat. But so basically, there's a musician named Winslow Leach, played by William Finley, and he is a composer of a song, I guess a song or production called Faust, and
cantata. What is it called?
A cantata.
Cantata.
Yeah, so it was a cantata.
I keep calling it a horchata in my head. And
Hakuna cantata.
And so he's written this song, and Paul Williams as Swan of Swan Song Records, which sued the hell out of this movie, by the way, because that was an actual label for Led Zeppelin. So they had to change that. But he loves this song, and he decides it would be the perfect opening song for his new club or other concert venue, I guess he would more accurate, called the Paradise, which is, of course, where the Phantom of the Paradise comes in.
Actually, too, and with the Swan, what's with the name of the Swan in for 70s? Because remember that was the leader of in the Warriors was Swan. That's like a very common name back then they use.
But Philbin, who's the guy we were referring to that kind of talks to you as
a
Swan,
muscle.
The muscle, yeah. He basically steals this music, pretending that he's producing Winslow. So Winslow comes back to follow up on this a little while later, and is thrown out of Swan's office. So he's basically knows his music has been ripped off, and he ends up sneaking back in under a disguise, I might add.
Yeah.
And Swan and realizes what's happening. Swan's gonna steal his music to open the Paradise with, and he is discovered. Swan discovers him and basically has him beaten up and framed for drug dealing.
Yeah.
Which is as bizarre as it sounds.
Yeah.
This is a weird movie, guys.
Yeah. By the way, was it me or did he look kind of like Allison Janney?
He really did. Yeah, you're right.
I was like, and it's not like she looks mannish in any way. It's just she looked like her. I don't know. It was very weird.
Yeah.
This was a prequel to Mom, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, well, Tim and I have a new trend lately of how we're trying to compare two very different things and how they share the universe, like an expanded universe together. So maybe you're right. I think Cohn's just nailed this one.
Yeah,
I think he never even though after we see he supposedly died as the Phantom, I think he secretly resurrected, got some better dental work, and became back as Anna Faris's mom. And
And William Finley is not one I would immediately would say would make an attractive woman in drag.
no, he wouldn't, and he tried. He tried.
But the thing is, most of those sequences, you can almost put yakety sax over. It's like the Benny Hill sequences. Like everything was sped up and played for laughs.
Yeah, it was.
It's really weird.
You know what? Actually, I think that would be just a fun like little YouTube channel. Just put yakety sax in front of like a whole bunch of other scenes in movies, and just go from there. Because that was, and then just have a little old man get like patted on the head really fast. But
yeah, I will say that to Steve's point, during this segment where it was that kind of weird like wackiness, like I was not feeling this movie. Like I liked the opening number, but this part was like really weird to me, and I was like, I don't know about this. Like this might be a little too oddball for my taste, but I grew to love it anyway.
Yeah, no, at that point I was like, what am I watching? I don't remember. Like I knew I didn't remember it, so I knew it was gonna be almost as if I hadn't seen it before. And there were certain scenes that kind of triggered my memory, and I was like, oh wait, okay, I remember this now. But at that point I was just like, I actually watched this before. What is this? It's like,
yeah, they're sorting tiddlywinks in prison. That's his job.
Yeah.
After they pulled his teeth.
Yeah, why was it? Why did they think that was because of an infection? What was that going on with the
to
teeth?
decrease infection? They
That was
pulled the
Swan.
prisoner's teeth. Yeah. I don't know why. It just made the Phantom look cooler, basically.
Yeah,
was the
basically, I
real
think that was a
plot
way
reason.
they discovered a prop of metal teeth, and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Let's work this in.
So they pull his teeth and replace them with metal ones, which is admittedly looks kind of cool. I like
It does, yeah.
Isn't it
No,
chemical castration also?
I don't remember.
I think it
but
was both. I think it was all because Swan paid for these things.
Yeah, these were all funded by Swan's foundation for sure.
Yeah.
So Winslow is in prison, and he hears that the Juicy Fruits have made a record of his music. They have stolen his music and are getting ready to release this brand new hit record. So he manages to escape prison in a delivery box.
Yeah.
And breaks back into the Death Records building and starts destroying all the records. And this is the pivotal scene in which Winslow becomes the Phantom, because after being startled by a guard, he falls into a record press, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, especially looking like that. I just assumed it was
Which was actually a real record press, according to the trivia. That's actually a real
He almost got crushed.
He almost got crushed, yes. And so he falls into the record press, which burns the right half of his face, Phantom of the Opera style, and destroys his vocal cords. So, Steve, tell a little bit about how he almost really got crushed to death.
Well, they were using, it was a toy. I don't remember which toy manufacturer, but it was a toy press, and they had put some extra padding in there to show, William Finley it was safe. And of course, the padding got crushed, and somebody yanked him out right before he actually got crushed himself.
Oh.
So he almost became a real Phantom.
Yeah, it would have been a Phantom of the Paradise and the Phantom. It would have been like the whole, like a true Phantom of the movie. So that would have been interesting.
So,
I wonder if they would have still filmed the rest of that movie or just given up at that point.
Yeah. So Winslow, now disfigured, manages to escape the police. I think he jumps into the East River at some point.
Yes, no, and because if you look at the Wikipedia description, it specifies the East River.
Okay.
Just so, because that's like one of the worst places to ever go in. So.
Yeah, it's worse to go in even when you're healthy, much less with half your face burned off.
Yeah, that's not what you want going into open wounds.
So Winslow sneaks into the Paradise and becomes the Phantom by he finds a black outfit in the costume department and a silver owl mask, I guess you would call it. It reminded me of that mask from Stage Fright. Remember that, Brian?
Oh yeah.
Is that the Meatloaf
owl
one?
Killer.
And a little bit of Birdman too, I thought.
Yeah, Little Birdman. Yeah. There was a horror movie called Stage Fright that had an owl serial killer, and that was.
I think it was on Amazon for a while, wasn't it?
Did we
It was on-
cover that one? I don't know if we covered it or if I covered it in one of my projects. But
I think you did a
really
project.
good
We didn't
movie,
do it
yeah.
as a main thing, but it was. I want to say it was on Prime in one of those. I
That's
don't think
the
it was
one
on
with
Shudder.
Meatloaf.
I don't think it had Meatloaf. Meatloaf.
No, there's another bad
Meatloaf.
horror movie with him.
Meatloaf, yeah.
Not
That's,
to be confused
That's
with
another
Meat-
one,
this
Meatloaf.
movie.
I can't
yeah,
talk-
Tim's having struggling all night before you came on. He had trouble with like Bela Lugosi. Was it
That was
Lugosi?
Bela
Called him
Lugosi.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say? I had a different. Oh, I had Donald Sutherland.
Yeah,
as
Donald
if he was
Sutherland.
a section.
It's like a section in Disney World.
Yeah, it's not, come to Donald Sutherland.
So this was great too because now this is where Paul Williams is making fun of the Beach Boys because the Juicy Fruits have now given up the doo-wop and are now a band called the Beach Bums.
Yeah.
Which I love that opening line of that song was like carburetor. What is it? Life is all about carburetors or something. I don't know.
Yes.
It was funny. It was hilarious.
It was carburetors.
Yeah. So Winslow tries to kill them by blowing. I didn't quite get how he did it, but he somehow blew up the car they were standing on or something. There was a big explosion.
He loads in. This is one of those Brian De Palma things where you see the multiple points of view, and you see him load dynamite into the back of the car, and then they push the car on stage for the scene.
Okay, so I apparently missed him putting the dynamite in because I knew the car exploded. But yeah, so he attempts to blow up the Juicy Fruits, now the Beach Bums. And the Phantom, a Swan, who is remarkably calm throughout this entire thing, I thought.
Yeah, you notice he never
even
really
flinches.
gets angry until the end.
Yeah.
Like, really? And then even then, it's like one scream. I mean, it's like, he's so
So-
calm, and he's got that, like, such a calm voice to him. It's like, it's very comforting, actually, as he's, like, basically taking your life away. But
Yeah, and this was a plot twist I did not see coming because I thought this was going to be like, the Phantom terrorizes the place for a while, but no, Swan recognizes him immediately.
yeah, I know. I was like, okay, then what is this movie over now? Is this it?
And basically, instead of throwing him back out on the street or killing him or in some other way disposing of him, Swan gives him a chance to sign a contract to produce his music his way. So he's kind of like making amends and allowing him to sign this giant 5,000-page contract
In blood, no less.
in blood to so that he can have his music finally produced correctly, I guess you would say. And Winslow agrees and does in fact sign the contract in blood, which never ends well.
No, that's never a good thing to sign in blood.
And this is when we introduce Jessica Harper, this is her pre-Suspiria days. She comes on scene and she auditions one of Winslow's songs, or a song. She auditions a song. I don't think it was Winslow's song, but she auditions a song, and Winslow absolutely falls in love with her. And Swan basically says, "Here, rewrite your cantata for Jessica Harper, who is playing Phoenix," which he agrees to do.
There's a lot of bird referencing, right? Phoenix.
A lot of bird references.
Swan.
Yes. Swan, the owl mask, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the Phantom is now hard at work rewriting all his music, and he's going to have Phoenix perform it, and everything's good. And this is where Brian and I's favorite character come in, because Swan decides to break the deal. Swan decides Phoenix is just too perfect for that music.
Yeah.
He's going to do his own thing, and he brings in what Wikipedia describes as a glam rock prima donna.
Yes,
named
which is
Beef, which has to be a reference to Meatloaf. Come on, it's got to be.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Well,
it's
yeah, because at
gotta
that
be.
point, Meatloaf would have been doing Rocky Horror on Broadway and in London. So yeah,
Right.
I'm sure he was common enough.
But I mean, Meatloaf was not like this.
No, this is more of a.
Yeah, Garrett Graham plays it very effeminate too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was going to mention. Like, this movie would probably not fly today in terms of its depictions of homosexuality, because it's a little comes off a little homophobic at times, the way it's exaggerated. But I guess that was just a product of the times. I mean, this was the early 70s. So, but yeah, Beef is definitely very effeminate and is portrayed as like this kind of, like I said, prima donna. There's no other word for it. He's very cocky and flamboyant. So Beef now becomes the lead for this opening of the Paradise, and Phoenix is relegated to the position of background singer.
Can we talk about the fact that he rewrote hundreds of pages in a week?
Yes.
Just with lots of pills.
Yeah, like just nothing but pills. Yeah, and he's probably still in he's got to be in somewhat discomfort wearing a mask.
So
Also,
Swan,
there's no bathroom in there. Where is he going to the
No.
bathroom?
Oh my! Well, maybe he can't go to the bathroom anymore. I don't know. He had some horrible things done to him in prison. What's weird is Swan's the biggest dick ever. He screws him over yet again. Not only has he stole the guy's music, he's made him sign a contract and then screwed over the contract. And now he's going to seal him inside the studio with a brick wall, which is another
Edgar
horror
Allan
reference.
Poe.
Another
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe reference. I mean, this movie's chock full of them. So Winslow manages to escape and confronts Beef in a very nice Psycho reference. Because Beef happens to be in the shower. So this is the Phantom's shower scene. And basically threatens to kill him if he performs the music.
He toilet plungers his mouth. This was my daughter's favorite scene. Just
This
how
was one of the
ridiculous it
best
was.
scenes.
It was fantastic. Beef is appropriately intimidated. He wants no more part of this. He wants no more.
best description of the entire. Appropriately intimidated.
So he takes off, and he is persuaded to return to perform the number by Philbin to stay and play with the band, the Undeads, which are now the Juicy Fruits have gone from the Beach Bums, and they're now a goth rock band called the Undead.
They're proto-Kiss at this point.
Yes, very Kiss, very Kiss. They have the stage makeup that's very reminiscent of Kiss, white and black. I saw one description of looked like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. If you guys are familiar with that, like kind of German. What do they call that? I can't remember the. No. It's like I keep wanting to say expressionism. I don't think that's the word. There's a term for that style. But
Go with it.
yeah, we'll go with expressionism. I know what I'm talking about. They perform another great musical number. That's the one Brian was referring to earlier, where they're ripping a mannequin apart. And
Yeah.
but I was sitting there thinking, like, I really want to see this. Like, I would go to this concert.
Yeah, that's like early Alice Cooper. It was very theatrical, very,
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, they had nurses in the back, like, stitching together a Frankenstein monster type thing, and they were like handing them body parts and stuff. It was really, really cool.
Again, now borrowing Rocky Horror. So
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of Rocky Horror influences here.
And actually, Beef kind of at some point reminded me of Rocky and Rocky Horror, and also that meteor or Molecule Man from Superman 4, like a combination of the two.
And actually, Jessica Harper was in the Rocky Horror sequel, Shock Treatment. So she got singing.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Look at Cohn with the facts and the connection. Cohn shared the universe.
I've
There we
actually
go.
got the DVD of Shock Treatment. I really need to watch it.
There are some
And-
good songs in that one.
Didn't they there was a reference to something Denton in actually this movie? It's somewhere in the beginning they said something about Denton, which wasn't that the town in Shock Treatment?
Yes. It's both. Yeah, both. There's a song called Denton, and there's another great song called Little Black Dress. There's some good songs in the sequel.
Well, anyway, so the Phantom's going to strike once again. He tries to, well, he does electrocute, doesn't try. He electrocutes Beef on stage. So
Crowd goes wild.
the crowd goes wild. Nobody notices this. Yeah.
And you know what? That's probably the most timeless thing, because like in today's society where you could see people are so obsessed with like just Instagramming stuff and all that, they'd probably be completely missed if someone literally got electrocuted on stage, because they'd all flip their phones up and wanting to share it, not even realizing the guy's dead.
He's
it's
literally
like
a pile on fire.
Yeah,
by
I
the
know.
end of the scene.
I love it that they're coming in and trying to like pick him up and put him out right in front of everybody, and they're just
Well, this whole movie is still apt. I mean, it still applies today if you think about it. I mean, everything that this criticizes about the music industry is probably still true to some form or the other.
Yeah.
Even today. So so Beef is dead and the show must go on. So Phoenix now takes over the starring role, and the crowd loves Phoenix. So they go wild over her. All right, so now Swan has changed his tune about Phoenix. So he manages to seduce her with promises of stardom. The Phantom spirits her away, sort of the Phantom of the Opera type feel to it. And he tells Phoenix his true identity and tries to rescue her from Swan's clutches. But she doesn't know who he is, of course, because he's got metal teeth and an owl mask on. So Phantom realizes that Swan and Phoenix are now an item and decides to kill himself because he's so heartbroken over this turn of events. But Swan interrupts his plans to die and tells him that he cannot die until Swan himself has died. And the Phantom tries to stab Swan, but is unsuccessful. And this is where Swan reveals that he is in a contract with the devil.
Well, didn't the Phantom stab himself first?
Yeah, he
yes,
did.
Yeah.
He did, yes.
Yeah,
he
he's
did.
bleeding.
And he's
yeah.
like, you're in a contract, you can't
Yes,
do
he
it,
tries
or
to
whatever.
kill himself
Right.
first. So this is where we find out the true. I mean, up till now, he just seems like a dickish record producer that's just really, yeah. But now we realize that he's truly is evil because he has signed a contract with the devil, and this is where we learn that Swan has this contract with the devil is to keep himself young. So this is where the Dorian Gray type deal comes in, and so he made a deal with the devil 20 years prior that he will remain youthful forever until the recording of his contract is destroyed. So Swan plans to marry Phoenix during the finale of Faust at the Paradise, and
Which is televised.
It's going to be on live TV. So Phantom discovers footage of Winslow signing his contract with Swan and a contract Swan made with Phoenix, and he realizes Swan is going to have Phoenix killed.
And Swan
Right.
has been kept drugged and out of it during this part. I mean, sorry, not Swan, Phoenix, rather.
Phoenix, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And so now Phantom realizes that Swan is going to kill Phoenix during the ceremony. So he destroys all the recordings, which of course breaks the contract that Swan had with the devil. So in the final climactic scene, which also has some great music as well, Phantom saves Phoenix. He stops the assassin who's trying to shoot her, and instead he kills Philbin instead, which is the
Dressed as a pope.
Trusted-
Or, a priest.
the muscle, yeah. And the Phantom swings onto the stage and rips off Swan's mask and exposes him as the really nasty. I don't know what that makeup job was. It was like he was
Yeah.
burned or his skin
It was
had-
burned because basically the tapes were basically burned. I kind of took it symbolically like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't realize. I was like, why is his face burned, like melted off? But I guess that makes sense.
My daughter was amused by the fact that the devil is the shortest devil she's ever seen. She's like, how does he intimidate people?
I know.
Yeah. So Swan tries to kill Phoenix, and the Phantom intervenes and stabs him, and reopens his own wound that he tried to stab himself, and starts to die. And the audience again joins in, just like they did with the
Oblivious.
Yeah.
Completely
the
oblivious.
Undertaker's concert, with the kind of allusion to the pieces being ripped apart of the dummy in the prior musical number. Now we're having Swan being basically murdered by the audience as they take turns like stabbing him and killing him.
Maybe that's why they had that setup in the beginning of just people interacting like with the whole thing, just so you're not surprised anymore.
I think it was definitely foreshadowing. I think it was pretty
Well, and they know it's a very theatrical vibe. Again, it's over the top. It's
right. Like this whole movie's over the top.
Oh yeah.
So now we have the final climactic scene where the Phantom Winslow reveals his true face to Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
She
Right to the
recognizes-
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Swan dies, Winslow dies, and Phoenix holds him in one last embrace. End credits, and there we have Phantom of the Paradise. But I will have to say, as over the top and crazy this movie is, the soundtrack's phenomenal. I love the songs in this movie. The more I listen to it, the more it's grown on me. And it's a crazy film, but it definitely is underrated. No question about it. This movie, I think, only made it big in Winnipeg, Canada, or somewhere. Where was that? Yeah, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, where it was on. It stayed in theaters for months in Winnipeg. It was a complete box office failure everywhere else.
Well, it's also back to the times when there were no multiplexes, so it was 1 to 3 screens at most. So, if something didn't connect with an audience, it was out quick, or it stayed for months.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it's definitely it's regrown its cult status since it's been available on DVD and stuff. Because I've heard people talk about this movie for a long time, and particularly from my brother, saying you have to see this film, and I'm glad that it's finally getting the love that it deserved, and especially now that it's on Shudder, even a wider audience will get to see it. So that's really cool. Couple of little trivias here. Linda Ronstadt was up originally for the role of Phoenix, which is interesting. Jessica Harper beat her out for that. Also, this has some ties to Carrie. The singing and character voice work during the orgy sequences were done by none other than Betty Buckley.
Wow.
Nice.
Who was, of course, the gym teacher Miss Collins in the film Carrie in 1976. Brian De Palma.
By the way,
Brian,
there's an...
And Grisabella in Cats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brian
there's
De
another...
Palma. Did you hear me, Brian? Brian De Palma. I just...
again? I'm
just terrible tonight.
But actually, there's another fact to that scene with the orgy sequence. Apparently, when Betty Buckley was recording that, they had 9 women in there, and she kept yelling, "No, 8 is enough. 8 is enough."
Oh.
All right, I'll see myself out. Okay.
Tamest orgy ever, by the way.
Yeah, very tame.
Yeah. How'd you explain that one to Fu, Steve? I mean, how did you get that one passed?
That was the most horrifying thing to her was Paul Williams having an open shirt. That was it.
I have to agree. That was
pretty horrifying. I'll have to say.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a podcast that's covered Kurt Russell's sack, Donald Sutherland's buttocks, and God knows what, and yet but that one might be the most horrifying male anatomy I think we've seen.
And then the bathtub sequence. Let's not forget that.
That's
Young
true.
Paul Williams.
Yeah, that was really creepy when he was talking. I don't know. I got I don't know, and plus that haircut he had made him awkward even
Paul
more.
Williams is kind of creepy in any situation to me, so
Poor
in a
Paul.
bathtub makes it particularly upsetting.
Yeah.
This one again has another Carrie connection. Sissy Spacek actually worked as a set dresser on this film and says she did her job so poorly she ruined a day's worth of filming.
Wow. I can't picture her doing anything bad.
I know. And she also lost the role of Phoenix to Jessica Harper, so she auditioned for that as well. Which I can't imagine Sissy Spacek as Phoenix, but I'm glad she didn't get it because she probably got Carrie because of that.
Yeah, I don't think that just wasn't her role. I could tell. Yeah, we could tell that.
Yeah.
So.
And then this other one here, the one I love this piece of trivia. Phantom of the Paradise is Nicolas Cage's favorite Brian De Palma film.
Not Snake Eyes that he actually starred in with him.
Yeah. So so that's fantastic. And then I noticed this right away. The Rod Serling introductory voiceover. That was instantly recognizable, especially after you, Brian, after hearing all those Twilight Zones.
Yeah, I know. I hear his voice in my head normally now. I mean, so, yeah.
So yeah, fantastic movie, guys. Check that one out on Shudder if you haven't seen it already. I actually am gonna go watch this again because I need to see it again for now that I know some of the trivia and I've heard the songs a little more. It's definitely one I want to rewatch.
Yeah.
Are the songs available anywhere, or did you make your own mix?
They actually have the soundtrack on Amazon Music, so that's where I've been listening to it. It does not include one song, which was the William Finley. I can't remember the name of it. There's one of the William Finley numbers early on in the movie, not the Faust, but the other one he did is not on there, but everything else is on there.
It says, "Never thought I'd get to meet the devil," and "Faust First Reprieve" aren't on there. Okay.
Yeah, but the rest of it's there. I mean, it's a short soundtrack, so I would even say even if you haven't seen the movie, the soundtrack's still worth listening to. You might not get the context, but the songs are just really, really good. So thanks, Steve, for thanks for recommending this movie, and also thanks for being on and discussing it with us because that was a lot of fun. That was a great movie.
Happy to sit in, even though it's not much of a horror movie, but it has its moments.
Yeah, Brian and I have always threatened to do a musical episode.
Yeah,
this would have been a perfect one for it, but
yeah, we might have to have Steve back on that since he's the musical expert. We may need to have him choreograph.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need all the help we can get. That's for sure.
Yeah, I actually have one song already in my head for it that I'll tell you about off air, so we don't spoil the surprise. Steve, but I'll tell you that one.
Yeah. So just so you know, I've sat through the scariest musical in terms of just how awful it was. I sat through Dance of the Vampires, which was the adaptation of the Fearless Vampire Hunters, or pardon me, but are those your teeth in my neck? The Roman Polanski one.
Oh yeah.
All the music was Jim Steinman. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow. But wait, it's more terrifying than the Xanadu musical we saw, Steve? When we were...
Xanadu
We're
was
to-
fun.
No, but Tony Roberts, right? Trying to roller
Amityville
skate.
3D's Tony Roberts.
Yes, trying to roller skate. Tim, you
Yes.
would have been on
Oh
the.
my
It was
God.
literally he could not roller skate, and it showed. And I'm like, I can't believe he has not learned at this point because
That
we've seen
sounds
it. What about
amazing.
it was kind of interesting actually. In all kidding aside, because I happen to like Xanadu the movie, so it was kind of really cool because they actually had certain seats where you could. What was it called? The goddesses or something? Or the muses.
You were basically sitting on stage with the muses.
Yeah, you could. So there were seats on stage that you could get. Actually, we didn't get that, but you could get that.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
Yeah,
Actually, we
no,
have
it
a
wasn't
friend
that
that did
bad.
do it.
Oh, who
Dom
did
did
it?
it.
Oh, Dom did go, but he went back. He saw it
went back.
twice.
Yes.
Wow, Dom saw it twice. I was on stage at that play once because Julie we decided to get the first front row tickets. Tim, I don't know if you knew this, but the play once, based off the movie, if you saw it on Broadway, before if you were in the first two rows, you could go up on stage in the bar and they literally would
It
serve
was a
you
live
drinks.
bar. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a real bar up until, and then the cast would come out and jam with a few songs, and then they tell you to take your seats, and then the play would actually start.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so the way that relates to horror is because David Patrick Kelly, of course, who was in The Warriors, but also in Twin Peaks, played Jerry Horn, was a role in that, and I got to meet him that night. So
Oh, cool.
a little bit of horror and connection
Yeah.
in there. So
Neat. Okay. Well, all right. Well, yeah. Thanks again, Steve. And that was a great feature for our return to regular episodes, I think.
yes.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great night.
Yes,
All
and
right,
by
you
the way, for those who don't know, Steve Cohn is hard at work at writing Phantom of the Paradise 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna say that. I knew it.
Electrocuted Beef Boogaloo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, beef. That's beef. Beef needs to have its own following. That is like one of the
Yeah,
best
that is the
roles
best.
ever.
So, Brian, what was our beer pairing this week?
So for this film, this was tough because there is so much going on in this movie, and I was literally searching for so many different aspects. And it wasn't until today where I discovered one that I figured that might be worthy of this movie. So it's called The Devil Made Me, and it's by Android, if I'm pronouncing that right, Theory Brewing out of Purcellville, Virginia, and it's a nano brewery.
Wow.
So it's really it's
So
a
this is like a
tiny
guy
little
out of
brewery
his
place.
house kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I think it works well is because this movie is like one of those it's so great, it's so wonderfully bizarre that it's like that it deserved like a special little tiny brewery that you don't always just find on every
Right,
shelf.
yeah.
So this one is a smoked porter, and I got a lot of great descriptions here with this one. So you know what? I apologize. I forgot to put the ABV on this, but you can look this up. But anyway, it says fire and brimstone, the fitting destination at the end of a terrible path. The faces: Gacy, Manson, Dahmer. Why do they do it? Where does the evil come from? Are they products of their environment, or is there a darker force at work? Many questions, but few answers. Fill your glass and brood on the wickedness latent in the human heart. Then raise the glass in a toast to judgment and justice. Just don't look them in the eyes, for you might see yourself.
Ooh, that's a good description.
Yeah, that's perhaps one of our best beer descriptions
think
ever.
so.
They worked on it, and this place goes as far as to then go on for tasting
Ooh.
notes. So they do subtle smokiness with traces of ground chili peppers, light body with firm roast, flash of chocolate, and a growing heat that builds with each sip, and a dry finish. And then they also I tell you, they are proud of their beer at this little nano brewery, because then they went on to do a food pairing with stuffed pasilla peppers with red pepper mole,
Wow.
a cheese pairing, which is fromage à raclette, which obviously some French cheese, I don't know, I apologize. And then they even pair it with a cigar,
Wow.
which is Perdomo Habano Corojo. So I think I'm going to email this brewery and say, well, we've also have a movie pairing for you. It's Phantom of the Paradise.
You can just add it to your list of pairings.
Yeah, just add it to your list of everything else you've paired it with. Why not, right? But I thought this beer pairing was interesting because obviously with the whole deal with the devil kind of syndrome there, you don't know quite why he's evil until it's revealed, and then you do find out, and so kind of the description kind of matched a little bit, I thought. I mean, of course, it's not a serial killer, but still.
That's pretty good.
I thought it was worthy of it, yeah.
All right, so our triple threat. It's been a long time since we've asked this triple threat, actually, so you guys have been waiting.
Right. I think Cody got it. I kind of remember Cody getting this one.
We were asking you for an actor or actress. Clue number 1, I have two daughters and have acted together with one of them in one of my most famous roles. Clue number 2, I was once up for not one but two different Batman movie villains. And clue number 3, I was in a very divisive science fiction movie, as well as the movie it was compared with in terms of box office failure. The actor we were looking for was Brad Dourif. He worked with his second daughter, Fiona, in the Child's Play series. So that's his daughter he's acted with, of course. The two Batman villains he was up for, he was first up for Joker in 1989, but the studio wouldn't allow it, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they just wouldn't allow it, but...
Yeah, I mean, obviously they went with Jack Nicholson, so you can't really criticize. They probably just wanted a big name. Yeah. That's all it was. It was, and remember those Tim Burton Batman, it was all about the villains. I mean, even though Michael Keaton was just incredible as Batman, and even more so as Bruce Wayne, I thought. But those movies were sold by its marquee names as the villains.
This was before superhero movies were big, so they had to sell it with big names, And then then Burton wanted him attached to Batman Forever when Tim Burton was still going to do a third Batman film. And he wanted Brad for the Scarecrow, which I think would have been amazing. That would have been really good.
Oh, I think he would have nailed it. Yeah, I mean, Cillian Murphy was okay as Scarecrow when he finally took that role, but I think I think he would have done the animated version with Brad Dourif.
Yeah,
I think he would have went for that crazy, really nutty, scrawny-ish look, and I think he would have nailed it. It's one of those lost opportunities we would just can only wish about.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy he's just too good of a serious actor to kind of I don't want to say stoop to that level, but he's not Scarecrow and those kind of villains. You kind of have to go a little over the top, and I just don't think he was the right actor to kind of be an over the top personality.
Yeah, he was a little too sophisticated.
Right, and I don't get me wrong, I absolutely love him. He's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Oh, I agree. That's what he is.
But
he's such a good actor. He can't, but he's not that's just not the roles for him.
Yeah. He's
what was it, Red Eye he did?
Red Eye. I mean, Peaky Blinders. If you guys have not watched Peaky Blinders on Netflix, fantastic series. I mean, the acting in that series is worth the price of admission alone, even if you don't care about the plot or the setting. So, yeah, he's fantastic. And then our final clue, the very divisive science fiction movie he was in was, of course, David Lynch's Dune, and it was often compared to the infamous Heaven's Gate, which Brad was also in. They were two big box office failures, and they're kind of still held up today as examples of big box office failures.
Right, with a big cast, and that was and it was just it's so funny he ended up in both. Poor guy.
But I was me and Olivia were just watching the Deadwood movie. On HBO. Deadwood was, of course, the Western series on HBO that ran for many years. We love that. And they just came out with the movie that's set 10 years later. And, of course, Brad Dourif plays the Doctor in Deadwood. And he is absolutely incredible in that show. And the movie.
Well, he's just great.
He's just incredible. Olivia was laughing. She was like, why is he so pissed off all the time? I was like, that's how Brad Dourif has always played that Doctor in Deadwood. He's always pissed off. That's his character. Yeah. So he's if you haven't seen that, Brian, you need to go watch those. They're just incredible.
Yeah. Doctors in the Old West, they were never happy.
It wasn't a happy time to be a doctor. Most of your patients died.
Probably. Yeah, and you only had so many things at your disposal, and pretty much daily you're getting someone either getting shot in a showdown or a
shootout or
someone just probably getting just so drunk and keels over in a bar on cheap whiskey,
All right, so our triple threat for this week, we got a brand new one. We're looking for an actor or actress again. Clue number 1, listen carefully. Before I became a legend in the horror industry, I got my start on a major soap opera. Clue number 2. I was born not too far from where one of the Civil Gore hosts lives, either Tim or Brian.
Yeah, see, I made this one tricky because you're not going to get the answer for 2 weeks, so I figured we might as well try and make it as tricky as possible here.
And clue number 3. While I shared scenes with many well-known horror alumni, perhaps my most famous scene featured only a specific part of my partner's anatomy. Interesting. This is This one's tricky, but not impossible.
No, not impossible by any means. It just might require a little bit of research because I think there's a lot of red herrings in these that people will lead to, and I think we're going to probably get a couple of guesses, which I can already know that some of the guesses we'll get that will be incorrect, but they'll be good guesses. But once again, remember, it's got to hit all 3 criterias, all 3 clues, and a lot of these will hit some of them, and even actually may fit all 3, but not as well and not as correct, basically.
All right, guys, so we're gonna sign off. We'll see you back here next week. Be sure to drop us a line at civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com civilgorepodcast, Twitter at civilgorepod, and what am I forgetting? Instagram. We're on Instagram as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and keep your eye on Instagram as of after you hear this, because I'll be away out in hitting Galaxy's Edge and Magic Mountain for the Coaster Radio meetup, which you can still get tickets for at this point, but they're going fast and they're going to cut it off soon. If you do want to go to Magic Mountain with Coaster Radio, check on their Facebook page. You get the link to the event, which is great because Tim can attest. Coaster Radio events are amazing, and there'd be no Civil Gore without the original Coaster Radio
They're
event.
phenomenal.
So yeah, and so just then I'll be at but I'll just be theme parking a little bit. But I'm always out for horror stuff, and we like to expand our interests, as from our rough topics. So I'll probably be posting a ton of pictures on our Instagram and Twitter.
All right, guys. Yeah, drop us a review on iTunes if you could, and be entered in to win a Civil Gore prize pack. We still got a lot of goodies to give away, and we'll see you back here next week. In the meantime, watch out for Paul Williams.
Yes, and beef.
Beef.